I want to thank I want to thank everyone for coming, and it's nice that you are joining us, Sandy Blumenthal, that is. And I think everyone here is happy to see you. And with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Corinne, who's going to give us a Devar Torah this evening.
As we all know, women are not always comfortable with sharing their intimate emotions and feelings with others. But we all know in Women's League that is a very safe place to do that. And often we need inspiration and motivation in order to share. And of course, we all know the Torah can provide that. And an experiment was done, and a group of Jewish women were asked to tell the truth about their lives and to do so with a few Jewish words. And they were in a group with rabbis and friends and people they were comfortable with. And they were asked to open her heart, to delve into her considerable Jewish vocabulary, and to tell us what she found. And all the people were over 50 and some over 60, etc. And it was very, very interesting. When it comes to our own lives, we're still trying to figure out how to live with grace. And each of us, in our own way, is still exploring what this all means. Our stories, however, are not ours alone. Reading them in the Torah, you may recognize yourself or someone you know. Women like to share their hearts and their minds as much as they are able to. And Jewish tradition has helped us make meaning. And where on occasion it has come up empty, we wanted to still open the text and delight in what they say. What are the texts? Of course, first and foremost is the Torah. And it explains all the feelings we feel and teaches so many different stories. As we begin, as the Torah does, with our first and most intimate relationships, with our families, our homes, the ordinary, and the definitely not ordinary. And that sounds like a good place to start when you ask somebody to delve and think deeply about their lives, about being Jewish, etc. We always start with our families, our traditions, etc. So, an example of how we can connect with our community and with others and look into ourselves and to see our failures and successes, of course, in a non-judgmental way is, as I said, reaching for the Torah. So let's be guided by the wisdom therein in order to help us to understand ourselves and others in peace and happiness. And let us go forward as a group of strong women able to inspire and motivate others to think about themselves in a different way and to try and follow and interpret what the Torah teaches us. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Yasher Koach, or I should say Yasher Chochech. Thank you very much, Corinne. And this leads me right into one of the things I wanted to mention tonight, which is that I want to thank Debbie Lempert for creating a sign-up genius for Divrei Torah for these meetings. And I want to thank those consultants who took the time to go to click on the link and sign themselves a month. There are still a few slots open. So if you haven't gone, I will send the link out after this meeting, and maybe you'd like to sign yourself up for one of the several meetings later this year for which no one has picked yet. The other thing I wanted to remind everyone about is notes. We have the notes system. And if you are working with a region or an affiliate, please send reports in. I know that there were assignments made last year with affiliates that received variances for which we didn't receive any follow-up reports. So it would be helpful, just, a line or two about how that relationship went would be helpful. Keep in mind, we're now in the middle of November. Per capita is going to be due in the beginning of January. There will likely be more requests for variances come January and February, and there will be more assignments to affiliates, and we would like updates because one of the conditions of a variance is assignment of a consultant to work with that affiliate. So those are the two updates that were most important that I wanted to bring up. And now I'd like to move on to the theme for this evening, which is consulting services, programs for regions and affiliates. As some of you know, there was an executive committee retreat last week, and one of the things that we talked about was programming and the kind of programming that Women's League might be offering in the future to our affiliates and or regions. And I thought that this group, which many of whom have created workshops for regions and or affiliates, would be a great place to talk about the kinds of programs we should think about offering in the future and to whom. I remember quite some time ago, Women's League used to offer distance workshops, which were open to anyone within the organization. It wasn't geared specifically to leadership groups. And I know Sandy and I have talked about this in the past, how we should consider going back to that as an idea. Using modern technology. Those distance workshops were conference calls with posted scripts. In a more modern version, they could be a Zoom program with a PowerPoint, which would enable visual learners as well as auditory learners. So at this point, I'd like to hear your suggestions, your input on the basis of what you think would be a direction to go in and the topics. And one of the reasons why I think this group is a great group to give feedback is because so many of you are working with regions and affiliates, and you know the kinds of questions that are being asked and the kinds of issues that are coming up. So who'd like to start? Just remember to unmute, please. No one? Oh, Sandy.
In the past, many years ago, when I was the distance workshop chair, the distance workshops were very successful and we had a lot of participation. So this is something that you might want to rethink, and you may want to rethink what topics, as Anise said, that you would like to work on. Membership is always a topic of interest. Social action, the resolutions, personal conversations, those are just a few of the workshops that could be done. And to do it on Zoom would be so much better because you have interactive participation where when you have the distance workshops that were on a phone call, you really couldn't do that, have that interactive relationship. So I think this would be a wonderful way to connect with our affiliates.
Thank you, Sandy. Sandy Blumenthal.
Hi, everyone. I was speaking to Julia about this yesterday, and she told me that in preparation for the retreat, they did some research, and they found that our workshop last year on alternative structures, I think the three women who did that, was the most subscribed to. So we know that the need is there. One that I'd like to propose that we work on, I think I've mentioned this before, is a number of sisterhoods and regions have talked about having mini retreats. Sometimes there's just interactive full day meetings. Some on this call have mentored some of our affiliates through that without having to physically be there. I think that it might be an area that we can help with, from everything from the team building to the, you can take this and customize it for your needs, but these are the ways you could do it, and even offer a consultant to help in the planning, not necessarily in the execution.
Thank you, Sandy. Renee?
So I'm hearing, especially from the regions, questions about tech, whether it be Constant Contact or Google Drives and all that. And I don't know how much of an interest there is in the affiliates for something like that. Maybe they do need help putting together a newsletter and interfacing with their synagogues and things like that. But I think that's something we should consider. I think we're beyond the Zoom part and we're on to different tech questions.
Thank you. Margie?
I could lower the hand eventually, but I'll do it after. So I think it'll take too much time. So I think that there are some things that we could be doing and some things that might not be in our category. So leadership succession is always a hot topic, but to me, it's a very timely topic with the parliamentary issues in like January. You don't want to do that in June or in May. You want to set sisterhoods up. So maybe a parliamentary, nominating committee, but what do you do? How do you respond to the no's? And so that together as a topic, but it has to be timely. Again, you don't do that. You do that when nominating committees are starting, which is usually January-ish. So that's always one. I think we do a lot of things to highlight programming ideas in either through consulting services or through many of our chairs, but nobody seems to be doing fundraising, and every sisterhood looks for sharing ideas for fundraising. And we have workshops on that. So that's maybe something that we could offer if either a standalone to share ideas or with another topic. And again, sometimes we do them and we could say, well, we did that last year, but there's always a new cast of characters in every sisterhood every year or two on a perfect world. And so having a topic that was a hot topic a year or two ago doesn't mean there wouldn't be a new audience today for that topic. So like we've done merging sisterhoods. Now you don't want to do that every year, but every couple of years you want to have that on the menu, because that's always a shul that's sitting, oh my gosh, now I'm in that, I wasn't listening. I didn't care 2 years ago, but now I'm in that position. So I think repeating some that have been successful is okay, but we have to look at the timing of them all.
Thank you. And what really stands out in my mind was a workshop that was given a few years apart, same topic, on budgeting. And it was always done at the end of the fiscal year in preparation for the next team that was going to be creating a budget for an affiliate budget. So I think that's just really encapsulates what you were describing. Deb Bruce.
Okay, this past meeting that we had on Presnet, we discussed this exact topic because we had discussed it last month on consulting services. So we spent the whole hour talking about this, and the three major areas that those affiliate presidents would like to know more about, and more than I can spend with them in a large group discussion, is communications that such as Constant Contact and those kinds of products. Those were things that sisterhoods that or affiliates that don't use that would like to know how to use it. And for those who do use it, how to get more clicks and more people to actually read it. That was one thing. that topic also kind of led to the fact that they all get their region newsletters or their region Shabbat messages, and they find that they're way too long. And a lot of the wonderful programs that we are having, they're not even registering because there's so much information on those emails. That was number one. The other one is not program, fundraising. Whenever somebody brings up a fundraising idea in that group, we get a lot of follow-up is, how did you do that? What did you do? Who did you contact? They really want to come up with some ideas and to have fundraisers. And a lot of the ideas would be something that they don't have to necessarily do in person. Not that they're not, I mean, everybody is basically meeting in person now, but some kind of fundraiser that's not on-site fundraiser. And of course, the third one is always, how do I get rid of this job because I need somebody else to take it over after 10 years? And I reiterate that you're proud and privileged to be your affiliate president, and but that doesn't help the person who wants somebody else to kind of step up. So those were the three areas that I wrote down that we spent most of the time discussing. So
Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Sherry Lynn.
Even though this is an old topic, leadership development, and also delegation, I still see that as a problem area. And then I definitely agree with Margie that we need another session on parliamentary procedures.
Thank you, Sherry Lynn. Corinne?
Well, I'm fixated on the environment. So, and I know that particularly among the younger members, there is a definite swing towards people being more sustainable, eating better, trying to care for the environment. And I think we need to educate people a lot more in that area.
Thank you. So I think that these are all topics that we've dealt with in different ways with each affiliate and with regions. And so now I'd like your input on offering these as an organization-wide Zoom in offering them in two ways, as a organization-wide Zoom program and region, specifically with sisterhood support or affiliate relations positions, the members who are reaching out to the affiliates within a region. Is this something that you see as being effective, doing it both ways or just one way? And if it's one way, which way you think would be better? Margie?
I think one thing that we could, it's an easy fix to me, maybe not so easy, but it's in theory an easy fix. If we have, and not every region does, has sisterhood support, or they might have a membership VP, the regions have somebody other than the president reaching, not always, but usually reaching out to those sisterhoods. I'm not sure that those 13 membership or those 13 sisterhood support or those 13, I don't know what they're called in every region, it's something different, are equipped to answer the red flags and respond to some of those red flags. So maybe that's one thing that we can offer directly to the regions via the chairs, via the membership chair, via the whatever chairs, to say consulting services can partner with you, membership person. So when you hear or sisterhood support, whatever they're called. So when you're listening to the sisterhood saying, I can't come up with a president or I'm having this issue, that we give them the tools and those answers, that they don't always have to pass the buck to say, well, hold on, hold that thought, I'll get you a consultant. I think we could maybe train them better so that they can respond to some of those red flags and not every single red flag have to come to us. I'm not sure they're trained well enough in those areas.
Thank you. That was what I was driving at. Was there a benefit to doing this in specialized groups of region members versus open to everyone, which is also good because one of the shortcomings of offering training by portfolio leadership is that the members at the affiliate level never get the benefit of that information, and you do not know who is up and coming within each affiliate and who potentially could become region leadership. So that by when back in the days when the distance workshops were open to anybody, there were people who participated who eventually did accept more responsibility within their affiliate and became more involved. And it's a great way of reaching members beyond just convention. Rachel.
I would say yes and or yes but. I never know which. I think I like and better. So in my dealings as a consultant now for the last couple of years with a couple of different regions, and having come from, I've moved away from Central Great Lakes now, obviously. The strength at the region level is tremendously varied. And I think year to year or term to term, I guess I should call it, it can vary even more. And one of the things that I think suffers greatly lately is their ability to communicate well with their affiliates in their region. And it's not isolated to one, but some are far better at it than others. And I think it would be an excellent opportunity to maybe offer some support and training to a couple of regions at one time who might be suffering or not as strong as others. And while the consulting services group could maybe do it as a team, I think we also need to provide them perhaps some templates or some easy fixes to why they can't get their newsletters out more frequently, or why they can't make them more easily scanned and therefore read in more thoroughly, and getting input from their affiliates within their region to disseminate more information more broadly.
Thank you, Rachel. Debbie Lempert.
I would say yes, and because I know we've had great response to some of our programs, but it's a one-night shot. And I know that women can go on and find it, but the reality is they're not going to go on and find it. I wanted to go to that membership program and I couldn't go, and then it's off of their mind. So I think it's good to have something for all of Women's League, because you don't know what women who maybe aren't in whatever topic we're going, a leadership position. But also I think that when we come to them, I think the average women in an affiliate really don't understand Women's League. They really don't get it. So if we go to them, and not just the region, I think if we go to an affiliate, we reach out, they will get a better sense of what Women's League is, and we'll be able to address their individual issues. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Renee.
Okay, so I'm listening to everybody and I have a few thoughts that have come up. First of all, we have to be careful, whatever we choose, it shouldn't be something that another committee of Women's League or team is doing. So I hesitate on the social action or even the environment, because Corinne, you're doing those programs already. I think we're talking more about training type of programs. You said that the program that was open to everybody did very well. And I know that when we led some under Debbie's administration, they also had a number of people. We did piggyback 2 different topics together so people could pick or choose. So I think having something open to everybody is great. That being said, maybe those programs can be done twice so that we can get one of the things that we heard when Julia was in town here and other places is that the people on the West Coast can never take advantage of these programs if they're working women, because by the time they get home, it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, which is, and the program's at 4:30, it doesn't help them. So maybe if we are doing it by regions, group them by time zones. And I just also want to throw out there, I'm all in agreement with doing these type of programs. I think there's a need for them, but we have to be very careful about how many we plan and when we plan them, because the region presidents did complain that there were too many programs given by Women's League, that the regions don't have enough dates on the calendar to do programs of their own, or they're the types of programs that they wanted to do for their region and there's a conflict. So we have to be really mindful of what we're planning. So thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Carol.
Okay, so there's another opportunity here that we can take this opportunity to train the leadership in each region by, say you're doing membership. So we can do a membership open to everybody. And, taking Renee's response is we're doing training for specifics like programming. We're not doing the program, we're just talking about program. We're not doing membership, we're just talking about it. But do it for the whole organization, but then train the women in the regions to do it for their region, because that's how we're going to build leadership for this organization. So it's upon us as consultants to work with, say, the membership person in the region with the, whoever's in charge of membership for Women's League, but as a team, help train these people in each region so that they can do it. Because that's what we all did years ago. We did the training in our regions, and that's how we built leadership. And I think we're missing that point now. So that's my 2 cents, Anise.
Thank you. Corinne. Corinne, do you still have your hand? Oh, I'm
hand
sorry.
is up.
Okay. Yes, Margie.
Even a program on how to run a workshop. And I don't care if 20 people say I'm coming. A program on public speaking. Again, let 30 people be there. 30 more people will have a better sense of how to do it. And then they bring it home, do it at home, do it in their regions, do it whatever. But even things like that, those basic skills, is training our leaders to be leaders.
Mimi, do you have anything you'd like to contribute to this conversation?
I liked a lot of the ideas that I heard, especially the ones that where if we can go to the region leadership and then have them take over and teach the affiliates, which is basically what we've always been doing. It's always going down the line. It comes from the consultants and then goes down to the regions. This is what we've been doing. It's just a matter of rethinking these ideas, redoing them again, and offering them with a new look, and have people come and participate again.
Thank you, Marcia.
Yeah,
Marcia Chappell.
right. I think that everything that's been said by everybody so far is very good. What I'd like to bring to the table is a logistics kind of thing as to how we would go about doing this. And what I'm finding is that when there are multi-part programs, and I'm thinking of the archives program, I'm thinking of Lois Silverman's program. Now, that's not issues of that the same issues. These are programs that we're presenting. But I think we could take these technical questions or leadership or ways and means and put them together in some way, and I'm not sure how, but in a creative manner, that we do something and then stay tuned for part 2 and stay tuned for part 3, that we might have a greater tendency of getting people to participate in these kinds of things if we do teasers at the end of each one that this is what's coming next. So we will register. So that's just my off the top of my brain right now thinking.
Okay, thank you. Meryl?
Everybody said a lot of what I had wanted to say. And, combining sisterhoods is a big thing that I'm finding that they just don't know how to make it into one. And I always remember Margie would say it's like taking two families that have now, married together and taking a little bit, from, like, do you say Hanukkah or do you say Hanukkah? So there's a lot to get accustomed to. I had always liked the idea of the distant workshops because it was open to everybody. And, sometimes you appeal to someone who you didn't think was going to be a leader, you didn't think was involved or cared that much about it. And all of a sudden, I'd look and I see they're on the Zoom and I go, oh, that's great, So that's another way of seeing that they're showing interest that we can't always figure out. And I feel, aside from the fact that the affiliate officers really don't know their jobs, really don't understand Women's League, I feel that way about the regions too. The regions just know that little paragraph that they're given, this is the description of your job. And beyond that, they don't understand how it works together and how it links together. And, if there was a way of doing some kind of training for the region people and showing the connection, so that they see that, how programming is connected to finance, how finance is connected to membership. They need to see the interconnection, and I just don't think a lot of them understand beyond their little peripheral, vision. But I do like the idea of opening it to everybody.
Thank you, Meryl. Yeah, as I recall, the distance workshops, there were once a month, a different topic each month, but the topics were specifically on how to run a sisterhood, how to make a sisterhood the most effective it could be. And before I posed the question tonight, that was kind of what I was thinking about. And as I'm listening to your suggestions and comments, it's interesting that, this is definitely a need. I think we would have to winnow down the specific topics, but I think that we're all pretty much in agreement that the regions as well as the affiliates would benefit from more of this kind of training, so that working with affiliates on an individual basis, both the regions as well as the affiliates themselves would have a better understanding of how to move forward aside from just doing programming. Marilyn? I was waiting for you to raise your hand.
Are you? Well, I didn't want to disappoint you, Anise. I raised my hand. Well, sometimes I try to be quiet because, I was a former consulting services chair, and I don't like to sit there and say, when I was consulting services chair, this is how we did it, those types of things. But it's true what came out of, or one of the many things that came out of our retreat was that women we felt were looking for this type of programming, which we hadn't done, the distance workshops, which we haven't been doing, I should say, for a while. I don't believe when I was consulting services chair and Sandy, I can't even say Sandy B, but Sandy, you're shaking your head. I don't think we did it once a month. I think it was probably more like every couple of months. And basically what we tried to do was to set the programs up based on the sisterhood schedule. And, like in the beginning of the fiscal year is like membership season. So let's do something on membership and, so on and so forth. And that's what we tried to do to set them up. Obviously, when we were doing them, they weren't on Zoom then, but obviously we should be doing them on Zoom now. And I think that Debbie Bruce's input from what she gets from the sisterhood presidents, because she's the Presnet chair, is very valuable. And so, yeah, it's just setting it up on that timeline. In terms of region training, the region presidents get trained, the region tour fund vice presidents get trained. Many years ago, we used to train the region membership VPs. We haven't done that in a very long time, but that doesn't mean that the Women's League membership team couldn't do something like that, because part of the issue now is that not every region has a membership person. Sometimes it's sisterhood support. So we have to adapt to what the reality is that we're facing. But I do know that what Sandy said with this being one of the most well-attended workshops, the one that Meryl, Rachel, and I did last year, which was sort of like a smorgasbord of sisterhood topics, that was one of the highest rated, or not rated, excuse me, attended Women's League workshops over the last year. So I think bringing those types of things back would be really great.
Iris.
Hi, this is sort of out of the box. I keep thinking, and maybe some of you will disagree, but in the past, regions were very strong because they met on a regular basis. They had mailings, they had programs, they had get-togethers for different times, not just at a conference. This is, of course, been taken over a lot by Zoom, which does not, to me, fulfill the same connection of women in the region. I honestly believe Women's League is as strong as the strength of its regions. So my thought was, and this, like I said, is thinking a little bit out of the box, if we did individual, I don't want to call them even workshops, get-togethers of some sort of, I don't even know what to label it at this point, where Women's League celebrates Pacific Southwest region. And we have a consultant who really celebrates the region. There's some talk about what Women's League is, but the region is invited. The affiliates, individual affiliates, hopefully will give their women the link to the Zoom that would be. And I don't know, something where we really present ourselves. We really share what we want, what we hope they get from us, and open it up to that way, but it's a regional thing. Anyway, it's just something that I was thinking could possibly have an effect.
So let me recap what I think you're saying. Offer a program on the region level for all the affiliates of that region, but have it be led by a Women's League consultant or a team of consultants, and showcase the various portfolios and how Women's League recommends approaching each of those portfolio jobs. Is that the gist of what you're saying?
Yeah, but make it entertaining as well,
right?
Not just information. And again, I have no clue. Just off the top of my head, was thinking how I just felt the connection of the region in itself. And believe me, I am thrilled that I have met so many of you through the years and consider you my friends because we were together. I don't know that Zoom offers that as well anymore, but we get to know each other a little bit, but there's still that missing link. And again, it's still going to be a missing link as we're not being together, we'll be on Zoom, but I don't know, it's just a thought.
You know, when you mentioned entertaining, it made me think about what the Torah Fund, the Region Torah Fund VPs did in their session at convention, where they had created a Jeopardy. And they were able to teach all about Torah Fund, but in a fun way that there was competition, there was joking, but it was not a straightforward, bland kind of presentation. Okay, Marcia Tobel?
Yeah, picking up with what Iris has said, you had hit a spark in my mind, Iris. Thank you. We should take our show on the road and take our show on the road to each of the 13 regions and do, I don't want to say do a convention, but take our show on the road and reach out to each of the regions with these programs, celebrate each one of them individually, emphasize their strengths, what they're good at, what possibly they need some help with, but as a couple of consultants or however way we set it up, but go into each of the regions with our programming and what we're talking about. So that's my thought.
Thank you. Meryl?
Yeah, we had discussed this a couple of months ago that some of the consultants had come out with the Why Women's League, script. And we had said we were going to share it. And I just thought that would be a good thing for us each to have, that we have a script that would, so it's not a long thing, but that we can go into a sisterhood and just say who we are as a women's league, who is Women's League, why Women's League, and have something that is concise, sort of covers it, and, not going on for 15 minutes, but rather like 5 minutes that we can share. That was my input.
Thank you, Meryl. Debbie Limpert?
So I know that as consultants, that you try not to send us to our own regions, but I'm thinking in a case like this, where if we wanted to do something in person, we understand our own regions because we're part of them. And I think for something like this, it might be good for us to be with our own region, because we know how they operate. We know where, or for our own affiliates. But I just feel like, I know we try to get different people in, but I think sometimes we have a good understanding of our group. And so I don't think it's a bad thing sometimes to also would cut down on travel.
Thank you, Debbie. Marilyn?
Couple of things. One, the whole Why Women's League that Meryl was talking about. Our membership VP, Doreen, is working on that right now. So anything along those lines would have to be coordinated with her. That's one thing. And in terms of consultants training in their own region, Renee and I have been doing it for years. Iris, we've been doing PSW for years, partly because of the expense of sending somebody out here. So there's a good reason, as long as you do know your group better than anybody else. So that's been done.
Thank you, Marilyn. Sherilyn? You're on mute. We don't hear you.
Sorry. The Why Women's League program is actually been posted in Women's League Week, and it's going to be a program on December 2nd. So please sign up and come, because a lot of us have given input for that. And I think Doreen is trying very hard to have all of us help train the membership vice presidents or sisterhood support people. We do meet with them every other month to talk about different topics that are important in membership. So they are getting some training, and I don't know how it's really being able to come down to the sisterhoods. I think that may be part of the issue.
Thank you, Sherry Lynn. Sandy Blumenthal.
Just a point of clarification. At least past practice is we do not send the conference consultant from the same region. But for many reasons, including economics, we certainly were using women from within the region to service our affiliates.
Thank you, Sandy. Phyllis Goldberg, you've been very quiet. Would you like to contribute something? to our-
Agreeing with most people. One of my big things is that we're not reaching our membership. That one thing is the leadership and the training that they need, but we're not people, I mentioned a program, they're not getting the Women's League Week, they're not being pushed in their sisterhood, the presidents are not, I always want to talk with the president, want them to pull some of the good stuff out that their membership might want so they could be excited about Women's League. I mean, we mentioned the archive stuff, we mentioned Lois Silverman's program, not so much training, but to get people excited about things that Women's League offers. And if they're not getting any of the emails that come out, and there certainly are, I hear the complaints about too many, but we don't have their contact information. I mean, it should almost be a requirement when those membership lists every year are sent in or posted that an email address be included. They can opt out if they don't want it, but we're not getting down to the membership. And that's why in the past, I really liked the distance workshops, because it wasn't just the leadership that could attend, it was everybody, but they need to know about it. And if they're not hearing it from their sisterhood president, then they don't even know what's happening to sign up for it.
Phyllis, this is a big problem. I know in my sisterhood, we don't have a lot of our members' emails, and I don't think our synagogue has a lot of the emails, which then makes it difficult because the region doesn't have the emails, which then makes it difficult because Women's League doesn't have the emails. And we're trying to figure out what the synagogue has. Will they share it with us? It's a real challenging thing to get people's contact information.
We actually publish email addresses in our synagogue yearbook, so they're all there and they're available.
Yeah,
It's just
we have
somebody
it
having to.
directly, but some people
Yeah.
won't post it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toby, would you like to contribute something tonight?
I also did my 3 years as chair of the distance workshops, and we did it every other month. And I would make a couple of calls right after the last one to see what specific people, I use sisterhood presidents, whatever list I can get my hands on. And I would pick 1 or 2 people, call and introduce myself and say, I see that you are somewhat involved in your sisterhood. Thank you, Margie. What's keeping you up at night? And that's how we got a lot of our ideas. I worked with Harriet Markowitz. That's how we got a lot of our ideas for what to do for future distance workshops. And more, we were getting people emailing us and saying, could you send us the script? We weren't able to be on it. We heard it was fantastic. Send us a script. So we use that kind of to build on to get more and more people involved. And, I would say to them, okay, you're interested in the script. Now, can we expect to see you on the next one? This is what our topic is going to be, and try to spread it out Because like every one of us that's on here tonight will say the same thing. There are so many people out there who belong to a sisterhood and have no clue what they belong to.
Or why they even belong.
Debbie Green. Thank you.
One
for
thing
doing-
that might help would be if instead of starting each affiliate or region newsletter with the long message from the president, you have to remember most people are looking at this on their phones and it gets long and they don't want to keep going. Maybe if there's a special program, put that on the top, make that the first thing that they see before they see the Shabbat message from the region president. Let them see this spectacular program that is being offered first, whether it be a women's league program or a region program, but do that first instead of the routine Shabbat message and then all the standard things, and the special programs tend to be farther down. Also, at least here in the Midwest, winter's a great time to do programs, because online programs, if they're going to be online programs, because it's dark at 4:30. So, and if the weather's bad, people don't want to go out there, so then they're stuck at home. Great time to do a women's league program.
Thank you. Renee.
Okay, thank you for saying that about the newsletters, Debbie. This is a perennial problem with the regions, and what we've suggested and some are doing is that they will list what's in the newsletter at the top. But I'll check yours next time it comes out and see if that's how it's being done. So they'll say, this in this issue, a program, a message, Torah fund, whatever, so that people know what's in at a glance, and then they can scroll to that item. But I'll watch for yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Sandy Eliezer, did you want to share anything tonight?
It just reminds me of when I was installed as president, branch president in 2002. The topics haven't changed. My installation speech was that the branches of the tree were our affiliates, and Women's League were the roots and the foundation, and we're still there. And we continue to still need to explain and define who we are. It's not something that changes. I every year need to do that with my affiliate and with the region. It doesn't go away. And it's so important because so many of our affiliate members don't connect either with the rest of the region or with Women's League, period. And that is a concern because I'm the only one who's been going from my affiliate in the last several years. And that's a big concern. And I have a big concern also. I'm dealing with succession. I'm working with the board and with the religious school and reaching out to the younger members, the next generation. The torch needs to be passed, but they need to understand what they're getting. And it doesn't have to be what I do or what we do now. They can make their own choices of how they want their affiliate to operate. And being open to that and thinking outside the box. And I think distance workshops are wonderful. I think dealing with leadership and organization and understanding who we are. And of course, we've been talking why Women's League. Well, they need to know that too. So.
Thank you, Sandy. Marcia Strongen, would you like to contribute something tonight?
I really like the idea of taking the show on the road and going to the regions. The only thing I'd be concerned about is, one, the regions are upset about all the programming we're doing. And two, if we take something to them and say, this is a program that we're doing in your region, they may get upset about it. So I think we have to be really careful how we deal with, we have this idea, we'd really like to do it. What do you think? Rather than just ordering them, this is what we're going to do.
Okay, thank you. Debbie Goldich, you've been very quiet tonight, uncharacteristically quiet, I think I could say. Would you like to share something?
Thank you, Anise. So one of the things that came out at the retreat and came out again tonight is the issue of the presidents, whether they are the sisterhood presidents, affiliate presidents, region presidents, saying that we're over-programmed on the international level. And you might remember that we came out of COVID and we did a pivot and everything went online during those 2.5 years. COVID is over, and I think we need to pivot again, and we need to look at ourselves and decide how we want to bring programming to the affiliates and to the regions. And it should not be the same way that it was during COVID. It should be a different way, in a more modern way, in a way that suits, 2024, 2025. Whether we take certain programs to the region or we go back to the original way we used to do things. I think that we need to look very, very carefully at how we are providing the programs and pivot. Again, it's a great word. We need to pivot.
Okay, well, thank you. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to offer before we move on to good and welfare? Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for your suggestions, your ideas, the history that has contributed to the development of whether it was distance workshops or Zoom workshops, but specifically about the how-tos of sisterhood and why Women's League. And I think that we have a lot of material to work with and narrow down to develop some kind of a suggestion that can be taken up by Julia and the exec committee in terms of moving forward and what we should be offering and how. And I think this is just the beginning of a bigger conversation that's going to take a while, but it was very instructive and I really appreciate it. So on to good and welfare. First of all, we want to wish you the best, Sandy Blumenthal. As I said at the opening, it's a delight to have you here tonight, and we look forward to you being part of our group for quite some time moving forward, and we hope that you will be feeling up to joining us.
Thank you. I want to thank each of you for reaching out, your kind words, your calls, keep it up, and for continuing all you do, and especially to Anise, who, when I first called her and said, listen, for a little bit of time, will you? She stepped up so beautifully, and I think she's doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. So now I'd like to hear all of your good and welfare since nobody sent anything to me.